Dave knows how.
Welcome back to my channel. On this video we're gonna be going over part 2 of how to set up your brush hog to mow the grass more efficiently and get a better finished cut. And a lot of what was gone over in part 1 of this video series can be used when setting up other tractor implements as well. We ended up going out to this field and doing a little bit of brush hogging, and it's thick. It's not crazy thick, but it's, you know, it's thick enough that we can make our point here. Any day on a tractor is a good day in my opinion. You know, sometimes at the end of the day, being on a tractor, you get a little beat up and tired, but for the most part, it's a fun day. Now right here, I had to stand up to be able to see. The sun was in my eyes, and when I was sitting in the seat, the sun was so bright that I couldn't see if there was anything in front of me. This growth is somewhat thick looking down on it. It's kind of hard to tell if there's any boulders or rocks or anything in there you may hit. And since I don't really know this piece of property that well, I need to go extra slow. And ironically, this very first pass I hit a batch of bees, and so they were going crazy, and you'll notice in a few minutes I'll speed up substantially. Right here I'm actually slowing down to see, you know, wait a minute, what is that? Uh-oh, it's bees. And so I kind of sped up a bit to get away from there. I didn't want to mess up the cut, so I didn't speed up too fast, but I did speed up enough to move on past where them bees were at. It's something really nice and tranquil about being out in the field and mowing along and just kind of enjoying the day. It was a right nice day on this day. It wasn't overly hot, and it's mid-September here in Virginia, and we can have some really hot humid days, and then we can turn right around and have some pretty nice mild temperature days with low humidity, and that's pretty nice. Take notice right here at how well the Woods Bush Hog is distributing the material that's cut out behind this brush hog. That has a lot to do with the angle and the pitch that we have this brush hog on. We're going to go over that in a few minutes. But just take note right now as to how well it is distributing the cut material out the back of the mower. Everything is nice and evenly distributed. Not real clunky. Now right here we're just going to back in and do a cut so that we can make a spot to show what we're actually looking for when we set up this brush hog. So we've actually made about 3 little passes up into here. I didn't want to be standing out in a bunch of this stuff with Lord knows what kind of critters in it, so I mowed out a little area to help me, you know, stay safe from any wild critters coming along. Okay, so in this segment, what we're going to talk about is setting up the brush hog so that you know that you're cutting level from front to back, from the tail wheel to the PTO shaft. We've already got it level from side to side, and we did that with a tape measure, just measuring. And the way we want to set this thing up for level from forward to back is by visually inspecting what we've cut. So I've already got mine set up where on the 3-point handle, and I'll put a little video clip right here, and this shows 3 marks on the lift handle where I can set this thing in 3 different places coming from the bottom up, and that will achieve it being pretty much level, and then an inch higher in the front than the back, and then the other setting is an inch lower in the front than the back. And there's different instances which you would want to run your brush hog in those various settings. If you're just mowing, you know, regular grass and you're fine with the height that we've got it set at, which is 3 inches, then you can run it pretty much level or tilted down slightly in the front. Will give you a little bit lower cut than the 3 inch. So if you want it a little lower than 3 inches, you can lower it down in the front and it'll cut it a little bit lower in the front. The benefits of that is it'll discharge easier out the back. Now if you go an inch higher in the front than the back, then what you're getting out of that is you're getting a lot more mulching action. And when you're cutting some thick stuff like saplings and whatnot, you may need that mulching action. So with the front of it an inch higher than the back near the tail wheel, you get a lot more mulching action back here. It holds it in longer. Now the way that you tell is look at your ground, back the bush hog in and do a cut and inspect what you've cut. In the middle of the bush hog, this is where we've made a cut through here backing up, and this is basically the middle of the bush hog when we backed up. And if the middle of the bush hog, where the bush hog cut, is lower than the outside edges, then you've got your bush hog either set too low in the front or too high in the front, one or the other, because either one of those will make it cut lower in the middle than on the outside edges. Because as that blade is turning like this, the more you pitch it, the deeper cut it's gonna make when it's perfectly aligned with the tail wheel and the PTO shaft. As you can see, I'm further down to the ground on this pitch than I would be when I'm over here. When I'm over here, I'm the same distance off the ground. When I'm over here, this blade is closer to the ground, this blade is higher off the ground. Same way, if it's too low, then this end of the blade is cutting the grass low right here, but as it rotates around, this blade comes up, and so this grass over here on the side of the bush hog is going to be higher than the grass in the middle. So that's what you want to look for to make sure that you've got your brush hog set up so that you're at least within 1 inch of being level. Either 1 inch forward or 1 inch backwards. There again, if you're 1 inch forward for cutting just regular grass and mowing where it's not real tall, 1 inch forward is fine. Does a really nice cut. It discharges the debris out the back very evenly and distributes it out very nicely. You know, if it's a well-maintained field, you can cut that level or tilt it down slightly. Something overgrown like this is pretty overgrown. It probably needs to be mulched up a little bit more. This is probably borderline because most of this stuff's not really that thick. There is some thick stuff in here, but it's not like a whole lot of saplings and stuff. But generally, if it's saplings, you want the front end up just a little bit. One of the things that I want to make note to is the check chains. Now, as you know, when we set this thing up from side to side to be level, we tautened these check chains up pretty tight so this thing wouldn't move at all this way and this way. And I don't particularly like to run my bush hog really super tight on these check chains. So once I got it set up level and we decided to come out and mowed, I backed off of these turnbuckles, each one about a quarter, half a turn, somewhere in there, just to relax these things just a little bit so they're not under so much tension when this thing is raising up and down. So I did back off these turnbuckles about somewhere between a quarter turn and a full turn, and then tighten the lock nuts back down, of course, so that it doesn't come loose. We don't want the bush hog slinging back and forth like this the whole time we're mowing, but we don't want it too rigid and solid either. So, you know, just a rule of thumb, you know, I tighten it down to get this measurement right, to get it level, and then after that's done, I backed off of this thing no more than a full turn on the check chain. Full turn's a little bit much, so, you know, a quarter to a half a turn is where I like to be. Well, I hope you found this video useful and interesting, to say the least. I found this little plot of land right here that's definitely overgrown, and from what I understand, they are probably getting ready to bush hog it anyway, so it wasn't going to hurt anything for me to do a little sample cut over here and kind of show you guys and explain to you how I go about leveling this thing this way and this way. One of the things that differentiates if you've got the brush hog tilted down by 1 inch as opposed to raised up by 1 inch, so you know the difference. When it's raised up 1 inch and you get a lot of mulching action back here, a lot of times the material that comes out the back of this thing will be kind of clunked up in clumps. Whereas if it's tilted down in the front by 1 inch and 1 inch, you know, higher in the back, then typically the discharge that comes out the back is very evenly distributed. So, you know, it's more of an even cut. So it does make a little bit nicer looking finish. So tilted down or level is where I like to run it if I'm looking for how it's going to look when I'm done. But the important thing is you need to be within 1 inch this way or this way, because if you don't, when you look down across the field after you've cut it, you're going to have places in the middle of your cuts where it's cut low, and places on the outer edges of every pass where it's higher, as much as an inch or two higher. And add that in with the tractor tires laying stuff down and it not coming back up fast enough to cut it, and you've kind of got what looks like a mess. So again, I hope this video helps you guys, and I appreciate you guys watching my channel. Well, it pretty much wraps up this video. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video as much as I've enjoyed making the videos. I certainly do get a kick in the head over making these videos and interacting back and forth. And I hope you guys will subscribe to my channel.
Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
One other thing that I want to point out too is the I forget the name of them. Blah 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 blah. I guess we'll have to edit this part out, right?